Hello everyone, we are discussing RPSC ACF exam 2011 physics paper. So let's start the first question. When 1 kg of diatomic gas is at pressure of 4 into 10 raised to power 4 Newton per meter square, the density of gas is 2 kg per meter cube. What is the energy of the gas due to its thermal motion? The energy due to the thermal motion is the internal energy of the gas, and it is given by U equals to F by 2 RT. This formula comes out from equipartition theorem of gases, and here F is the degree of freedom and R is the gas constant. For diatomic gas, the degree of freedom is 5, and since the number of moles of this gas, we will take simply N 1. So the formula becomes U equals to F by 2 RT. We will write F in place F by 2, 5 by 2 RT. The degree of freedom for monoatomic gas is 3 and the degree of freedom for diatomic gas is 5. Okay. Now we will convert this RT into PV, because from ideal gas equation we all know that PV equals to RT for 1 mole of gas. So we simply write in terms of in place of RT we will write PV. So U is equals to 5 by 2 PV. Pressure is given, mass and density are given. So we all know that volume is equals to mass upon density, or you can say density is mass upon volume. So we will write 5 by 2 pressure into mass upon density U. So on putting the values, we get U equals to 5 by 2. Value of the pressure is 4 into 10 raised to power 4, and mass is 1 kg, so 1, and density given is 2 kg per meter cube, so 2. Cancelling out the terms. Now 5 into 10 raised to power 4 is the 4 joule is the internal energy or the total energy due to the thermal motion of gas. So our answer is 5 into 10 raised to power 4 joule. Next question is, 3 sound waves of equal amplitude have frequencies nu minus 1, nu plus 1. What is the number of beats produced per second? The number of, when these are superimposed, the number of beats produced per second is the beat frequency, and we the formula for the beat frequency is the difference between the two frequencies. Here we have to calculate the frequency between these three beat frequency between these three frequencies. So we will take a maximum frequency nu plus 1 and minus it with the minimum frequency nu minus 1 simply. So we will get the beat frequency. So the beat frequency is equals to nu plus 1 minus nu minus 1. From this, on solving it, nu plus 1 minus nu plus 1, nu cancels out, so the beat frequency is equals to 2. 2 beats are produced when these three consecutive frequencies are superimposed. So the second option is the correct. Now let's move to the next question. N moles of an ideal diatomic gas are in a cylinder at temperature T. If we supply some heat to it, then N by 3 moles of gas dissociate into atoms at constant temperature. Heat supplied to the gas is. Here we also we have to calculate the heat supplied. How much of heat is supplied so that these N moles of diatomic gas are braked and N by 3 moles are break from these n moles, and how much amount of heat is supplied. So for calculating the amount of heat, we will calculate the final internal energy of the gas minus initial internal energy of the gas. By calculating this difference, we can easily calculate this how much amount of heat has been supplied to this cylinder at temperature T. So let's start. Initially there's n moles of diatomic gas are there, so the initial internal energy is 5 by 2 nRT. Okay, now n by 3 moles of gas have been broken, so these from this 5 by 2 the final internal energy becomes n by 3 moles have been break. Now these n by 3 moles which have been break from this bond of diatomic will become monatomic, so their number will doubles. So the number of the moles is doubles and they are become monoatomic. For monoatomic, the formula is 3 by 2 nRT. Here n number of moles is n by 3. These all n by 3 moles have become monoatomic and their number is doubles. So this is the final energy. On calculating this, we'll get U final is equals to 5 by 2 n minus n by 3 means 2n by 3 RT plus 2 into 3 by 2 into n by 3 RT. So this 2 is cancelled out with this 2 and 3 is also cancelled out. So the final internal energy is, here 2 is also cancelled out, 5 by 3 nRT plus simply nRT has been comes out. So on adding this, we will get 8 by 3 nRT. This is the final internal energy due to thermal motion of gases. So on calculating its difference, we will get the heat supplied. Heat supplied is equals to final internal energy minus initial internal energy. So the final internal energy is 8 by 3 nRT minus initially it is initial internal energy is 5 by 2 nRT. So it is 5 by 2 nRT. So the heat supplied comes out nRT by 6. This amount of heat is supplied to break n by 3 moles of diatomic gas. So the answer is nRT upon 6. Next question is, hysteresis is a characteristic property shown by. Hysteresis is the characteristic property of ferromagnetic materials. How hysteresis takes place, or I can explain it by graph. In ferromagnetic materials, it has the property that when we apply a magnetic field or a magnetic force, then its domains align in the direction of magnetic field, and when we replace the magnetic force, then they are aligned themselves in their original direction. If we remove this magnetic force, then they align themselves in random direction. So this is the property of ferromagnetic materials. Now what happens here? When we apply a magnetic force, the flux density, means the alignment, due to the alignment of these domains, the magnetization increases, and it comes at a certain level, that after which, on increasing magnetic force, there is no increase in magnetic flux density. So this point is the saturation point. Now on removing this magnetic force, the magnetic flux density also start decreasing, but it will not comes to zero, and it will have some domains, or we can say some magnetic monopoles, magnetic poles, which are still in the direction of magnetizing force. So let's say 1 to 2 domains are in the align in this direction, and all comes in their random state. So this value they which they retend to be in a magnetic direction is called retentivity. So on to remove this retentivity, we have to apply some force in negative direction. So we have to apply some force in negative direction is called coercivity, so that its magnetic flux density will become zero. Now same thing will happen in the negative direction also. On increasing the force in negative direction, the magnetic flux density in this direction also increases, and at a certain point, it all the ferromagnetic materials align themselves in a direction of magnetic field. So after removing this, there is a point where all the flux density is not zero. On also again applying a force in positive direction, means opposite to this magnetic flux density, the magnetic flux density start decreasing and it comes to zero. So this region is the coercivity, and this region is the coercivity, and the here it is the retentivity of the magnet. For electromagnetic, it is necessary that it should become zero, because it is the property. If we have a greater retentivity, means greater number of these monopoles, magnetic monopoles, align themselves in this direction, then a permanent nature is comes in role. So we don't want any permanent magnet in case of electromagnets. We have to remove this retentivity, so we apply this force. So this is the property of ferromagnets. Next question is, what are the characteristics required for the material suitable for making electromagnetics? Since I have said that for electromagnets, we want that when we apply a force or we apply a current, then there must be a magnetic field increases, and when we remove this electric current, the magnetic field will comes to zero, which is not happen in case of ferromagnets. So we apply some force in negative direction, which is called coercivity. So we on applying this coercivity, we want a less coercivity force is required for, so that it will be a good electromagnet, and its retentivity must be less. So the graph of this is the electromagnetic graph of magnetic material, and it is the permanent magnetic graph, because here the retentivity is most highest, and we have required large force of coercivity to decrease this magnetic flux density. Here the retentivity is almost equals to zero, and we need less coercive force. So this is an electromagnet, and this is a permanent magnet. So for the characteristic property is low retentivity and low coercivity is required. This is the answer. I hope you all understand this clearly. Let's move to the next question. If a piece of copper and another of germanium are cooled from room temperature to 77 Kelvin, which one of the following is true? Since copper is a metal and germanium is a semiconductor, there is a property in metal is that when we increase the temperature, resistance of the metal is also increases, means conductivity decreases. And in case of semiconductors, this is the case of metals. In case of semiconductors, when we increase the temperature, resistance start decreasing and the conductivity of semiconductors increases. So here, on increasing temperature, on decreasing temperature, means from room temperature to 77 Kelvin. Room temperature is 27 degrees Celsius, which is approximately equals to 300 Kelvin. So on decreasing temperature 300 Kelvin to 77 Kelvin, the resistance of semiconductor start increases and the resistance of metal, which is copper, is start decreases. So the resistance of semiconductor increases because it going towards low temperature, and semiconductors work at high temperature. Conductivity takes place in semiconductor is at high temperature. So this answer is correct, fourth one. I hope you all understand this property of semiconductors. Now let's discuss another question. Which one of the following units denotes the dimensions? Here theta is the electric charge. These are the dimension of Henry. 1 Henry, which is electrical inductance. SI unit of Henry is kg. You can write it clearly here. The SI unit of inductance, electrical inductance, is kg meter square per ampere square per second square. So this is the SI unit of and if we convert this ampere into electrical charge, is I is equals to Q by T. So Q is the coulomb and T is in second. So on replacing it in terms of coulombs, so second square, now it will be coulomb, here we will write theta square and second square. So second square will be cancelled out, kg meter square per theta square. This is the kg meter square per theta square. This is the SI unit of Henry. And electrical conductance is also written in terms of Weber, which is magnetic flux related to the electrical conductance. Here phi is Weber is the SI unit of magnetic flux. So Weber per ampere is also the unit, or you can say related with the inductance. 1 Henry is also equals to 1 Weber per ampere. So the next question is, a solid which is non-transparent to visible light and whose conductivity increases with temperature is formed by. I have told you that when this is the property, when a conductivity increases on increasing temperature, is in case of semiconductors only. And in semiconductors, the covalent bonds are formed. How this works, I will tell you. It in case of intrinsic semiconductors, there are 4 electrons in a valence shell of intrinsic semiconductors like germanium and silicon. These are the semiconductors. There are 4 electrons in their valence shell, and the bond formed between them is by the sharing of electrons. So to complete their octet, they need to share the electrons. So the octet of this one is completed. There are 8 electrons in its valence shell now, and they are further bond with other silicon atoms, so all their octets have been complete by sharing of electrons. So how this conductivity, or you can say conduction, takes place in semiconductor, let me show you. I need one different color. Since we increase the temperature, if we increase the temperature, heat increases, so this electron will comes out and becomes free electron. Now there is a vacancy, here, and a positive, this vacancy means this vacant place is a hole, and it attracts a negative charge, which is an electron. This electron moves towards here, and a vacancy creates here. Now this and this electron becomes free, or another electron becomes free, and it attracts. Now this attracts, this vacancy attracts another electron. So this is how the conductivity takes place by holes and electrons in a semiconductor. I'll repeat once again. When we increase the temperature, a free electron breaks the bond and comes out in free space. So this electron will become free electron, and conductivity will takes place by this electron, and there is a vacant place, or a vacant hole is created here, and this hole contains a plus charge. Now it attracts a negative charge. Now it attracts an electron, so this electron jumps out and fits in this vacant place, and there is a vacancy create in at another place. So a hole creates at this place. Now to fill this hole, another electron will be attracted and vacancy place at another place. So this is the way of conductivity, how this it takes place in by the help of electrons and holes both, by increasing the temperature. This is the property of semiconductors. So the answer is covalent bonding is found in them. So guys, this is the last question, and that's all for today. I hope you all understand all the questions very well. Now I must say that please keep trying and practicing all the questions of your 12th class physics books, and of your BSc level books, and try to calculate the, or can say solve the papers of RPSC first grade. Okay then, thanks for watching. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.